Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my NFL wildcard weekend reactions. Well, minus the Vikings and Rams game, because that hasn't happened yet. Regardless, I'd say it was a pretty crazy weekend, though. There was some good games, there was some bad games, and I feel like we have plenty to talk about. Also, I would like to point out, this is not the Arizona Cardinals, this is the Annandale Cardinals from Annandale, Minnesota. It's a town where like 6 of my cousins go to school, so shout out to Annandale. But anyway, couple of quick plugs before we hop right into it. Don't forget to use code Wyatt's World on G Fuel, Waggle Golf, or Prize Picks. By using my codes on G Fuel or Waggle Golf, you're going to save a discount on any of their products, and by using it at sign up on Prize Picks, you're going to guarantee yourself to win a free $50 with your first $5 entry. But remember, always play responsibly, and let's get into the video. Okay, so starting off with the first game from Wildcard Weekend, we had the Texans destroying the Chargers, which I accurately predicted. Obvious sarcasm there. This game did not play out at all how I thought. I was figuring the Chargers would be the ones kicking ass, not the ones getting their asses kicked. Looking at Houston first, CJ Stroud played a fairly clean game, 22 for 33, 282, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Joe Mixon led the rushing game with 106 yards and 1 touchdown off of 4.2 yards a carry, and Nico Collins led receiving at 7 for 122 and a touchdown, and also was basically the entire foundation of the receiving core. Also defensively, Houston was on fire, getting 4 sacks and 4 interceptions on the day, which we will talk about now as we switch over to the Chargers. Justin Herbert, what the fuck? As much as I love this man, as much as I believe he is an elite quarterback in this league, he officially has entered the Kirk Cousins conversation in terms of what his ceiling is when you put pressure on him. And not to throw a stray at Kirk, because he is my guy, but look at Kirk statistically in the playoffs, look at Herbert statistically in the playoffs. Kirk at least has a win now. Herbert? He's blown a 27-point lead, and now just had one of the worst performances of his life. I mean, dude, 14 for 32, 1 touchdown, 4 picks. I know Will Dissly did not help him. Also, J.K. Dobbins was not able to do anything. The run game in general wasn't able to do anything. And then the Chargers receiving, which was much like Houston's, was a one-man wrecking crew where we got to see Ladd McConkey finish with 9 receptions for 197 yards, a touchdown, and a fat L. Poor Khalil Mack, too. The guy's out there pushing 80 years old, still getting 2 sacks, and this is how the team repays him. This went from what I thought was an easy win to the Chargers to what I'm pretty confident will be the worst day of the year for their fans. Now moving on, we have a game that I predicted to be a little bit more accurately, and that was the Ravens killing the pretending Steelers. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even see the Steelers score. I was done watching this game at halftime. I took my dogs out for a walk and came back at like the very end of the 4th. This was just a belt-to-ass beating, man. There was just nothing to watch at one point. Lamar was surgical for 175 and 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry dominated for 186 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mark Andrews finally didn't catch a touchdown, I think for the first time in like 7 or 8 weeks. Not kidding. And it looks like the Ravens defense got to Russ a total of 4 times. I am not looking forward to playing this team, man. I gotta be honest. Looking at the Steelers now, they don't look as bad as they did at halftime when I went outside, but Russ finished 20 for 29, 270, 2 touchdowns. By the sounds of it, the fans want him gone, so I'm guessing it didn't look all that pretty. Run game was absolutely abysmal, and receiving was led by George Pickens, who had 5 for 87 and a score. However, I am fairly certain that man is on his way out of the door. I did not mean to rhyme that. I am a poet and I don't even know it. For those of you who didn't see his interview after the game, the man literally said that he thinks he has seen growth in the offense, but then they asked, do you have hope for the offense? He said, nah. Like, okay, dude. I know he is a very beloved character around Pittsburgh, but at the same time, I feel like he's just kind of been an asshat ever since he got there. Maybe he'll go to Carolina. I don't know if that's what they're looking for, but I do not see him playing as a Steeler again, especially after that interview. Moving on, we have the Buffalo Bills beating the Denver Broncos within an inch of their life on national television. This is actually kind of humorous because I was watching this with my cousin who's a Vikings fan, and right after Bo Nix threw up that touchdown and the Broncos went up 7-rip, my cousin looks at me and goes, don't worry, this is going to be just like the Vikings and the Eagles in the 2017 NFC Championship. And for those who don't know how that game went or remember it, well, it pretty much went bar for bar with what my cousin said. Denver did not score again and proceeded to get the living shit knocked out of them. Looking at the Broncos first, I will not lie, Bo Nix, I mean, he had some ugly throws, some ugly misses, but the guy's not a bad quarterback. I really don't think so. The run game outside of Bo, who was annoying while scrambling, they didn't really do much. Receiving was led by Cortland Sutton, top 10 Cortland Sutton, 5 for 75, and he did have a nice catch. Troy Franklin had the immediate touchdown in the game, and the defense was able to get to Josh twice, but that's about the only good thing we can account them for, as they got destroyed. Looking at the Bills now, my MVP, my Pookie Wookie Shabuki, Josh Allen threw 20 for 26, 272 and 2 touchdowns. James Cook also dominated for 120 yards, 1 score. Receiving was led by Curtis Samuel, a guy who I actually forgot was on the damn team. He also had a touchdown. Ty Johnson had an incredible touchdown off of a 4th down play by Josh Allen. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Ray Davis got absolutely obliterated, and I hope he is okay. That was a disgusting hit. In terms of Buffalo's defense, I'm not mad at them at all. They might have only gotten to Bo Nix twice, but they also only allowed 7 points on the whole day, so who's bitching about that? And one of the most, arguably the most important factor of this game was the fact that Tyler Bass was 100%, so he is once again, knock on wood, no longer Tyler Ass. Baltimore, I have a feeling our game is going to be a lot more competitive than it was back on week 4 or 5, whenever the first time we played was. I am confident we can get the job done this time, but I am not comfortable at all. It's going to be a fucking war. Now moving on, we have the Eagles dominating the Packers in another game that I pretty accurately predicted. Looking at the Eagles first here, as I think there is a lot less to talk about since I pictured this outcome happening. Jalen Hurts was decent, 13 for 21, 131, 2 touchdowns. He did what he needed to do. Saquon was great, 119 yards out of 4.8 yards a carry. Receiving was led by Devontae Smith. Jahan Dotson actually became relevant and caught a touchdown. Dallas Goedert had an angry run touchdown, and A.J. Brown was shockingly only held to 10 yards. But don't worry, he's not hurt or anything. The guy was just so bored of beating the Packers that he started reading a book on the sideline. That's a first. And their defense, as you can imagine, had a great day, totaling up 3 sacks and 2 interceptions. Looking at Green Bay now, there's a few things to discuss when it comes to this team. First off, I think a lot of people are severely overreacting on Jordan Love as a player and his contract. They're now acting like it's the worst contract ever and the guy's the worst quarterback ever. Like, let's just be real for a second. I think the guy's proven he's going to be a franchise quarterback, but this was a hellacious performance. Also, another thing I'd like to talk about, and this is something my friend kind of pointed out, but I can't agree more with it, is how do they bring back this Jordan Love? And what I mean by this Jordan Love is the happy, smiling Jordan Love, because I feel like every time they have showed him on the sidelines this year, the guy has been fucking miserable. He looks pissed off and angry all the time. When you're not having fun, you're not playing as well, and I feel like that could be contributing to his little regression as well, but again, I don't think the guy is a lost cause by any means. Looking at the Green Bay offense, I mean, it was carried by Josh Jacobs, who had 81 yards and a touchdown. Other than that, it was pretty eventless. Defense also pretty eventless, even though they only allowed 22 points on Philly, which is something good. Just when you're trailing literally the entire game, I'm sure that the morale started to drop a little bit there as well. Like I said, expected outcome. Just, I didn't expect Jordan Love to look, well, so ass. Now moving on, we have the Commanders upsetting the Bucs in a game that I was actually right about, and I thought I was actually kind of going to be wrong about, but I owe one massive thank you to the return of Todd Bowell movements. Been a while since I've used that phrase. I was off his case for a while, but last night he was back and he was in the spotlight, shining brighter than he ever has. What was with the clock management and timeouts? Like, what was it? It almost seemed like he was trying to lose the game, did it not? If I was Baker Mayfield, I'd be fucking furious right now. Gavin, I'm sorry. My little cousin told me to stop swearing so much, but sometimes you gotta let it loose. Seriously though, Baker, 15 for 18, 185, 2 touchdowns. The greatest running back in the history of the planet, Bucky Kentucky Irving, had 17 carries for 77 yards. Mike Evans had 7 for 92 and a touchdown, still dominating Marshawn Lattimore. Nothing new there. And the other receiving touchdown came from, well, the greatest player on planet Earth, again, Bucky Kentucky Irving. Now the defense, they might have only sacked Jaden Daniels once and not been able to pick him off, but I gotta be honest, all things considered, I think they actually did their job pretty well on holding their own. Well, especially in the first quarter when Washington didn't even score, but kind of hard to win close games when your coach is actively taking away opportunities for your team to throw up points. Peeking out Washington now, Jaden Daniels, 24 for 35, 268, 2 touchdowns. Not that the voting is still going on, but Rookie of the Year is locked down now. Run game was actually abysmal for Washington, which any stat watchers would probably know, considering Tampa Bay's run defense has been fantastic all year. Receiving was highlighted by Terry, who had 7 for 89 and a score. His career absolutely exploded this year. Not that he was ever bad, but like, I mean, what, 13 touchdowns is crazy. Diami Brown had 5 for 89 and a score. And defensively, Washington did hold their own, at least to the point to get, a doinked kick through and win. But I will say I was absolutely disgusted to see Bobby Wagner hit Bucky Irving so hard I could feel it through my TV. Don't you ever hit my boy again. Good win for you, Washington, and you know what? Shout out to Dan Quinn. I'm sorry. Talked a lot of shit on your signing. You made me look like a real dumbass. Now moving on, we have the last game, and it's the Vikings beating the Rams. And I know what you're thinking, Wyatt, this game hasn't happened yet. Guys, when you have the script, you don't need to wait to watch, you know what I mean? So looking at the Rams first, you guys are gonna like this. Matt Stafford is set to throw for 269 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Look, I don't write the script, I just read it, okay? Kyron Williams gonna lead the team with rushing at a whopping 46 yards. Puka Nacua leads receiving at a whopping 62 yards. Cooper Kupp catches the touchdown, and the defense gets annihilated. However, special teams does score a touchdown. Now looking at the Vikings, Sam Darnold. He is gonna throw for 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. Again, don't shoot the messenger here. Rushing is gonna be led by Aaron Jones, who is gonna pop off. This is kind of crazy here. 136 yards in a touchdown. Receiving is led by Justin Jefferson, who catches for 172 yards in 2 touchdowns. The other receiving touchdown comes from Jordan Addison. 2 of the interceptions come from Byron Murphy. 1 of them comes from Ivan Pace. The defense sacks Matt Stafford 6 times, and Will the Thrill makes his 1 field goal. The Vikings win 31-14. Anyway, guys, that is going to be it for me reacting to Wild Card Weekend. I hope you guys like this video, and feel free to show any support. You guys know I appreciate it. In the meantime, I'm going to get this edited so you guys can watch it on time. I hope you guys enjoy the game tonight, even though I spoiled it for you. And as always, I will see you in the next video.